Hello everyone, it's Skill here from the Grim Reapers, and today I'll be going through a hardware review for the Authentikit replica Spitfire Mark 9 landing gear lever. As part of this review, I'll be showing me building the gear lever from the 3D printed parts and hardware which were all sent to me by Authentikit. As always, they did not request any favourable comments, and this will be a fair and honest review. First of all, before we get started, here's an image of the parts I was sent. Well, let's get on with it. Now, this video is in no way going to be any kind of an instructional video on how to assemble the gear lever. I'm including the footage of the assembly purely to show that even someone like me, without any specialist tools or particular skills, can put it together fairly easily. Authentikit have produced detailed instructions and instructional videos which can be found on their site and YouTube. I followed these instructions to assemble this gear lever. I will include links in the description below. I'll let the assembly footage play in the background whilst I talk about the Authentikit Spitfire Mark 9 gear lever. As with the other items in Authentikit's ever-growing inventory of 3D printed controls, the landing gear lever is a 1:1 scale replica of the lever assembly found within the real Mark 9 Spitfire. As such, it is very well designed and put together. The main structural parts are 3D printed, and all the hardware is of high quality. The landing gear lever connects to the mounting rig using the Authentikit quick release mounting plate, or dovetail system, that is common to all of their controls, and it connects to the universal hub via an RJ45 socket and Ethernet cable. This means that even though I now have 5 Authentikit controls for use in my virtual Spitfire, I still only require one USB connection from the universal hub to the PC, or in my case a USB hub. Once constructed, the landing gear lever is excellent in size and shape. The feel of movement of using the handle whilst flying it in VR is unbeatable. Even if it does take a bit of getting used to, swapping hands on the stick to use your right hand for the lever. Well, I guess that was one of the reasons the spade grip was used after all. Authentikit have gone the extra mile with the landing gear lever too. As the lever is basically a switch, they could have made the unit quite simply with a handle and a toggle switch, but that wouldn't have been the Authentikit way. Instead, they have spent a lot of time and effort making the little indicator panel, which shows the status of the hydraulics in the aircraft, work. So as you move the handle up, the indicator changes from idle to up, as that is the state of the hydraulics and shows what they are doing. When the handle is in the up position, it returns to idle. Likewise, when you move the handle down, the indicator changes from idle to down, then returns to idle at the bottom. Now, even I myself, who only flies in VR, and will never see this indicator whilst flying in the sim, thinks this is brilliant. Actually, using the gear lever itself feels fantastic. Having to move the lever out of its locked position by moving it to the left, selecting up or down position, then letting the spring-loaded action move it back to its locked state. It's just brilliant. Whilst I have you here, and this assembly is still going on in the background, I want to quickly mention something else that Authentikit have been working on. The Authentikit Tuning app. In one of my previous videos, a review of the Authentikit trim wheels for the Spitfire Mark 9, my only issue was that the input rotation from the physical trim wheel did not match the rotation of the trim wheels in-game. Authentikit have addressed this issue with their tuning app. Again, this is not an instructional video for that app. Authentikit have their own video about how to install and use the app, so I'm not going to go over that here, but I thought it would be good to let you know about it. Here you can see the setup window. And here is how the tuning app translates the rotation of the real trim wheels to those in game. A much better match. During the assembly, Authentikit give you the option to have the gear lever wired as a simple toggle switch, i.e. one input in game to toggle between gear up and gear down, or to wire it as two separate inputs in the game, one for gear up and a second for gear down. It's all up to your personal preference and how many inputs you are already using or are likely to use with your universal hub. As I'm a simple lad, I opted for the simple toggle switch. As you will have noticed, the footage of my assembly has been edited and sped up. This is purely a time-saving measure for this video. In reality, the total assembly took about 45 minutes. That was with me watching Authentikit's instructional video as I went. Pricing. As with all Authentikit products, the designs are free to download. You then have the option to 3D print the parts and source the hardware yourself, or you can use Authentikit's recommended supplier, SimKit Supplies, and purchase the hardware kits directly from them. Current pricing for those, as of October 2022, is displayed. If you don't have your own 3D printer, you might be able to obtain the services of a third-party printer via the community print services and the recommended selling price scheme. You can check out Authentikit's website for the full details and prices. Ah yes, this is where my camera stopped recording just prior to me completing the assembly. Really all it missed was adding the front plate and the quick release dovetail plate on the back, as well as the decals. Oh well, it just means that I can show you the images of the finished item sooner, so here it is. In conclusion, and I know that I have now said this several times before, but as with the other Authentikit controls I have reviewed, I can honestly and wholeheartedly recommend this product. The immersion factor, especially in VR, is simply unbeatable, but trying to show that on screen it just doesn't do it justice. It was also recently revealed that Authentikit is working with the Battle of Britain Memorial Flight to create a Spitfire simulator. I mean, what better endorsement of their products and attention to details could you ask for? Authentikit are also working on controls for a growing number of other aircraft, so no matter what you fly, it's well worth keeping your eye on their site to see what comes next. Well, this is Skill. Thank you all for taking the time to watch this review, and I hope you found it useful. I'll catch you later.